Hi guys. The truth is, it's going up like this. Like, I don't care. This is how it's going up. You guys are just gonna receive it like this. This is how you're gonna take me. Hi everyone. Welcome back to another episode of The Things You Can't Touch. Today's episode is yeah, I think it's very special because I have a special guest and I'm gonna allow him to introduce himself in a moment. But for everyone who is new to the channel, make sure you subscribe and things of that nature. Everyone who's been here before, welcome back, and I hope you enjoyed today's conversation. Hello.
Hello, everyone. Thank you for having me on, Eden.
No
Grateful to
problem.
be here.
Thank you for
My name
coming.
is Riyad Hasib. Um, I have a TikTok account called the Lyceum of Arts, where I talk about philosophy, literature, paintings, the whole range of things that make you think and appreciate life in a much more in-depth way. And I'm a man who just loves to share beautiful knowledge, ideas to, I don't know, inspire people and, push them into the world of philosophy. I guess that's the best way to put it. I came across Eden's content on TikTok when she was talking
Yeah.
about Schopenhauer, and it really piqued my interest. So I'm here today, and I'm grateful to be here. I said that already, but
Yeah, and I'm
I'm
just so
excited for
happy
the
that you're
episode to go.
here. Like, I'm just so happy that you're here. Oh my gosh. Guys, make sure you run up his socials, by the way. I'm gonna put it up there and you're going to follow. Check out his account. It's really, really cool, which is why he's here, because only cool kids allowed on the things you can't touch. Right. Your question. I feel like I should just go straight in and just ask you. It's
I'm
about
ready.
time, like the suspense.
By the
It's
way,
been
she's been
long.
telling me about this question for a week. So I don't know what the question is, and all
At
week I've been trying to
all.
work out. Okay, what could she ask me? How do I even think about this? But yeah, I'm all yours. I'm excited.
When I ask you the question, please can you tell me if like you expected it
Okay, of course
before
I
you
will. I'm
answer?
an honest
No,
man.
because no, this time I
Of
actually want to know.
course, I'll tell
Okay,
you.
here's the question. No, imagine if it's like really bad, like you.
You just want to build suspense, don't
No,
you?
I'm thinking. Imagine like it's actually just a terrible question.
No, it's never
Okay, cool. No,
terrible.
I'm just asking.
All
Just
questions
ask.
must have answers.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
So you better be able to answer this
Well,
one.
you better ask me the question
Okay.
then.
No, you're right. 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 Okay. Cool. Should we fear death?
Wow. Wow. First of all, I didn't expect that question.
Really?
No. I thought it was going to ask me something about like Schopenhauer,
Yeah, fairs. Because that's how you found
Should
me in it.
you
But
should
nah, it was too typical.
There's only I can answer the question
Mhm.
briefly and then we can
Yeah,
see where
because
we go.
I have different places that I want to take it.
I think you should fear death as a means of urgency for your own life.
Mm.
Um,
That
death
was the
is
bar already. Like, as a means of urgency for your
yeah,
own life.
well,
Let me let you land. Go on.
so I can only speak about myself, and then I can anecdotal, then I can relate it. Then
Hmm.
we can take it into its abstract.
Yeah.
For me personally, death is something I've always struggled with. The concept of one day you can die,
Hmm.
and the hardest thing for your imagination to conceive is your own death. And I
Hmm.
believe the only way I've never overcome my fear of death. I've only put it at bay by trying to achieve great things. So when my death eventually comes, I've left enough material and enough of my own name and legacy that can make my mum proud, because
Hmm.
my mum, she raised me hard. She put a lot of hard work in. She
Hmm.
had to go through a lot of struggles, and the way I want to repay her is by doing something great with my life.
Very
And
quickly.
yeah,
Can I talk about that?
yeah, of course,
I
open
feel
to
like
anything.
people say that all the time. Like, even have you watched Hamilton?
Nah, I
You
haven't
don't have
watched
to have.
Hamilton.
Okay, because even like I feel like the central focus and the central question in Hamilton is who lives, who dies, who writes your story. Like,
That's a very good. That's a nice one.
who's gonna tell your story when you're gone,
Absolutely
and
agree.
what's gonna happen to your story when you're gone. But I just feel like why do you need to make a mark? Why do you need to make an impact?
Well, because one thing I can't. So when it comes to ideals, we believe we choose our own ideals,
Hmm.
but I think your ideals choose you. And me growing up, I always
Let's see
used
if
to
I agree
love
with you.
in history,
Hmm.
where you see like Caesar, Napoleon,
Yeah.
Shakespeare, and these guys had one life, one
Hmm.
simple life. Some lasted 50 years or 60 years.
Hmm.
Think about how long human nature has been, over 10,000 years,
Hmm.
and some human beings, individuals, have lived lives at 50 to 80 years, and they're remembered for the rest of history.
Yeah.
And I'm thinking that's a good ambition to have for my sake. And one idea, so when it comes to the ideals that I believe chose me, is that
Yeah.
I was always inspired that a person in their individual life was able to give a big enough impact
Hmm.
that inspires the next generations on. And it's just something that chose me. I've always been inspired by that.
Okay.
For example, Shakespeare, 1500s. in
So
England.
do you think that chose him?
Yeah. Well, I mean,
What do you think? Because I'm struggling. I don't know. I don't know if I completely. I hear where you're coming from, but I don't know if I completely agree with the notion that it just chooses you. I think sometimes in this life, some people work really hard for the things that they end up achieving, but I feel like even within that, I see where you're coming from in
let me
that.
ask you a question. Do you believe in destiny or fate?
Ooh.
Do you think everyone has a destiny? Or do you have ever had that feeling in your life, a sense of destiny, where you
Mhm.
kind of look into the sky or you look back on your life and you imagine yourself and you're like, wow, destiny has put me here and destiny is pushing me towards that?
Mhm.
Because me growing up, I've always had this feeling of a sense of destiny. Like certain things have happened because destiny has chosen that to happen.
Yeah.
You know, I believe again when I'm reading right now, like for example, Napoleon. He was a great example in his teenage years, 18, 19 to 22. He always talks about destiny. He
Yeah.
goes, "My life, destiny. I will
My
achieve
life.
greatness."
I'm destined to
To
do this.
destined to do things. Yeah.
Um. Man, I feel like no. I don't believe in destiny.
You don't believe in destiny?
Yeah. I
Mm.
thought okay, I don't think I believe in the what's the word? The typical the what's that English word that they use? The typical,
There's a
like the
lot of English
normal, the
words.
usual, like the
Like, what is it like?
conventional.
Conventional.
I
Okay.
don't think I believe in the conventional idea of destiny, which I think usually destiny is associated with determinism.
Yeah.
So
You're.
things are
Yeah.
determined.
Yeah. You're right.
This is
Yeah. I
gonna
agree.
happen.
Completely agree.
This is your destiny. Whatever means you try to avoid it, that is going to happen. That is your
Mm.
end. I don't think I
Mm.
believe in that notion of destiny. I
Mm.
think I believe that people have things that they ought to reach in their lives.
Yeah, I think you're right. Destiny, in some essence, is in hindsight.
Mhm.
I think it's very difficult in the present moment to conceptualize your destiny.
Yeah.
But say some time has gone past, then you look back, then you
Oh,
can
and say,
say,
oh yeah,
"Oh,
this was
that
my
was
destiny.
destiny."
Yeah, but
So I think it's a hindsight thing, perhaps,
yeah,
maybe.
which is why I say I don't think I believe in
That's a good point.
the conventional idea of destiny. I think it's just whatever's gonna happen is gonna happen because that's what was supposed to happen for you because that's what you wanted for yourself. I think
Mm.
destiny comes from what you want from yourself, and what you want from yourself is a amalgamation of nature and nurture. If
Mm.
that makes sense, like
Okay. Mm.
wherever you grow up, that's what creates you. That's what molds your mind. That's what
Mm.
creates your interests.
Do you not believe then? I guess this is a bit of a abstract
Hmm.
turn of conversation, but
Yeah.
do you believe destiny and love?
Destiny and love.
Yeah, where you say you fall in love with someone,
Absolutely
it was
not.
destined to meet that person.
Absolutely
I'm
not.
serious,
Like the
because
concept of
I
love,
believe in that.
I know you probably do,
Yeah,
and it's
hundred
like
percent.
I'm probably like the biggest fattest hater when it comes to love. I did an episode on this before. I just even the concept of love. I don't know if it's I'm just a big fat hater. Just like
No, what's your
no,
reason? What is it about love that to
because
you?
I think I don't think you're destined to meet anyone. I think you will. I don't know how to explain it. You just meet someone who understands you a
Mm.
lot and very much, and I don't think that's anything to do with destiny. I think it's just about like
So do you believe
getting to
love is
know.
just understanding
Yeah,
between
it's
two people?
definitely 100%,
So
100%. I think it's genuinely love is more about understanding and then understanding to the degree to which you're ready to give up something of yourself and give that to that person and receive the other person as well. I definitely think it's understanding. I don't think there's anything deeper in terms of love. And all that understanding becomes other things. People deepen their relationships in terms of religion, for example.
mm-hmm.
And it's like that's a mutual understanding of this is something that we're both working on in terms of religion. And then like I don't know, other aspects like familial
Mm-hmm.
relationships as well. Like you understand me where I come from, you understand who I want to be, and
Mm.
you are happy, not happy, but yeah, you're happy to accept who I was, and whether you like the me who was in the past or not, and you're also happy to take the journey with me for
Do
the
you
rest of
believe
my
in God?
life. I believe in God.
Do you
I'm
think God's
religious.
love for you is just He understands you? That's it. Or do
Yeah.
you think it's nothing more than that?
Yeah, I think God's love is an understanding love, but obviously I'm still on my walk with religion. So I'm not gonna sit here and tell people what God's love is before they come for me in the comments and say no, you're wrong, you don't know. Because a lot
Yeah,
of people, when
no,
it comes to religion,
you're admitting
very
humility,
judgmental.
but
Yeah. So I just want
I
to
think
make
when
that
you
clear.
believe in God, it's almost a given you have to believe in love as well, because
Mhm.
God is something.
No,
It's not
but
you can't
the
see, you can't
let me
feel,
let you
you can't touch.
finish.
Sorry, you
No,
go.
let me let you finish. No,
No,
because
no,
I
sorry.
interrupted you.
Oh,
Yeah,
I said God is something that you can't see, you can't touch.
yeah.
You have to have faith and belief in order to believe in God. You can't know God
Mhm.
and believe at the same time. There's two different things. So God is a matter
Mhm.
of belief, and same with love. You can't touch love. You can't hold it, look at it, recognize it. Love
Yeah,
is a matter of belief. So I
yeah.
believe if you are someone who believes in love, then love
Mhm.
is a real thing. So in
Yeah.
right now, it's not that you through reason you're like I logically think love isn't real, because
Mhm.
that doesn't make it's not
It
doesn't make
does. It
it's
doesn't
a
make.
bit of
It's a
it's a
contradiction. I hear
contradiction. So
it.
love is
Should I explain
I think the
why?
benefit is if you say I believe in love, I think
Mhm.
love becomes an option and an access to. It's just the
Mhm.
same way someone goes, do you know what? I'm open to the belief of God. God can now become an option. So
Mhm.
I think belief about so the way you access love is through belief.
Yeah.
If you see the
Shit.
trail of thinking I'm
I feel
going.
like in my mind, the belief in God and God's love is
Mhm.
different to relationship to a love in a relationship.
Mhm.
I think that's where the distinction is.
Mm.
That's why I can say what I'm saying
Oh
about
no,
love.
I can't agree with you on that
Yeah,
notion, because I guess
because
God's
God's
love
love
for
is
you is
unconditional.
unconditional.
They
But
call
if
it agapeic love,
agapeic,
but
wow,
our
nice.
that's the English.
Yeah, no,
Yeah,
yeah.
and then the
Agapeic,
love
nice.
that you have with a partner. What do they call that one now?
That's conditional love for sure.
I don't. I'm not gonna say conditional specifically, but like there's platonic love between friends,
Mm.
and then there's romantic love. That's
Mhm.
like I don't know why it was hard for me to find that word, but it's romantic
Romantic
love
love,
that you
yeah.
have for your partner, and I just feel like that love is just is just a lot different to the love that God has for us. So I believe in the love that God has for us, but when it comes to because remember this
Mm.
conversation came out of like destiny. Do you believe in like true love and
Mhm.
you're destined to be with someone? No.
Mm.
And I sound like a big fat hater, but I don't. I think all you have to do is build a comfortable understanding with someone, because I genuinely believe that anybody pick one. You can
There's a
find
book I really
them.
suggest you read. Yeah. It's Plato's Symposium on Love.
And let me
It's
tell you
like this
something.
big. It's 60 pages.
When I read it, I'm gonna come back to you,
It's
and I'm
so
gonna tell you what I
beautiful,
think.
this book, and all it is just a bunch. Is ancient
Mhm.
Greece, and it's just seven men around a table, and they
Mhm.
all say, "Okay, we're gonna take turns in giving a speech on what we think
Think
love
love
is." And
is.
at the very
They
end,
love a cheeky
they
definition.
love it,
They
they love
love a
it,
cheeky
because it's their
conversation.
praise of love, and how the
Yeah.
Greeks believed if you do a great speech about something, that's
Mhm.
you showing your praise and love for it.
That's
It's the same
intentional.
way how nowadays, if we love an athlete or a rapper, what do? Put them on our wallpapers, or post on our room.
Prayers.
For the Greeks,
Yeah.
is to speak about it,
Yeah.
and it goes back to that concept of should we fear death. I
Mhm.
believe you should fear death if you believe no one will speak your name after your death.
That should I? No, I keep interrupting you,
No,
but
that's
please
okay.
tell me to stop
No, it's okay.
interrupting
It's
when I
okay.
interrupt. But do you know what it is? I think it's a thing where look at all the now, for example, Caesar, the time that because
Hmm.
I know you love a cheeky bit of him,
Yeah, I
and
love Caesar.
what do you call it, Napoleon as well. Think about them. I don't know if they lived at the same time or
Caesar
whatever
was
period of
ancient
time.
Rome. Napoleon was 250 years ago, 250
Two
years ago.
hundred and fifty years ago.
Yeah.
So he was here recently.
Yeah, 18 no, yeah, 18th century, yeah.
So like he was just here.
Yeah, basically, yeah.
I genuinely thought he was here like in the 1300s.
No,
Okay,
yeah.
anyway, when you think about those two people and the period of time that they were living in,
Mhm.
there were thousands, millions of other people who lived exactly at the same time as them. Where are they?
Mhm. Mhm.
And it's like, how significant do you have to be to make such a
Oh,
huge mark?
it's a great point
Do
you
you know
make.
what I mean?
It's
In
a great point.
history,
It's a great point.
like they did.
But I don't think you got anything to lose by trying. And if
Nah.
you think about, okay, I'm not saying you have to be a significant person like Caesar or Napoleon,
But that's
because
what
that
I'm
is
saying. If you're not
extreme
that, then you're
greatness.
nothing.
No, but I think arts is a way of that.
Okay.
Arts is a way. Think about great artists like Vincent van Gogh, for example.
Mhm.
This guy was just one random guy in the Netherlands
Mhm.
who was full of poverty, lonely,
Mhm.
walking around big fields, sitting there just painting. If me and you was to walk down to the our local country park
Mhm.
and see one guy painting the trees, and I say to you, oh yeah, this guy will go on to be remembered for hundreds of years, what would you look at me as? Really, what's the likelihood of
Yeah,
that?
I'll say
So
like he's
arts is a
that.
great means of that. Another guy, Franz Kafka, a guy who grew up pretty much a nobody in everyday society.
Mhm.
And look at him today. You go to Germany, there's statues of Kafka now.
What I'm
People on
gonna
TikTok are
say.
reading all his books. So I think arts is I believe art is the best way to get over the fear of death, because once you die, your art will still be here.
That's beautiful.
Van Gogh said one of the greatest. Having children is a way of prolonging your legacy, right? That's one of the beautiful thing about having a family. And Van Gogh sees it as art as well. When you have a when you produce art, it's your way of producing a child. Because once you die, your art is there. In other words, it's like taking a box, cutting a little bit of your soul, putting in it, closing it, and leaving it there. And when you die, people who access your art are opening that box and getting access to your soul again. I think art is the greatest way to prolong your soul, and that's why and I would say to my friends, what the most devastating thing I'm sure that will make the world cry is if, say, the Louvre or a great museum got destroyed.
Okay.
Why does this concept? Why would that make people sad? It's because you will never get that back,
Yeah.
and you will never get that access into Da Vinci again, and access into Michelangelo, and access into Van Gogh. So art, I believe, is the greatest way to get over your fear of death, in my opinion.
Okay. What I'm gonna say is very, very reductionist.
Yeah, I love it. Let's go.
And I want to say it because, like, why not straw man fallacy? So are you saying everyone should draw?
No. Absolutely
Okay,
not.
just to
Because
clarify.
art isn't just a thing where you could pick up paper and do this.
Yeah.
But art, I'll give you a microcosm.
Mm-hmm.
Why, when you was a kid, you draw pictures on a thing. Why do some parents keep?
So that they can, like,
Because it's access to
To-
back when you was a child again.
yeah.
And I think
And also
that
just
is a
to treasure
small
the
example. It's a
memories,
treasured memory,
yeah.
exactly.
Yeah.
And but what was that? The reductive statement you just made?
Everyone
Should everyone
should
just draw? No. You should. No. That's not the case
That's
at all.
not the case. You said
It
no.
isn't just saying draw a picture and be remembered, because
Yeah.
that's a good point you make. It is reductive, but it's a very good point.
So
It's a
just
great.
like
Yeah, it's a great
clarify
point.
that point.
I think if there's something you have about your I can only speak for me. My dream is to become a great writer, a novelist. I want to write my own philosophical books.
I believe
I'm
you will do
24 now. I'm
Yeah.
young. I believe to be a great artist, you need to be older in age. Because I
Okay.
read something beautiful once. It said, young people, we are amateurs at everything. So
Yeah,
how can I
that is
produce my philosophy of life at a young age? I think there's some rare examples in the world of literature and philosophy they've done that. So John Keats was an example. Rimbaud was an example. Yeah.
Can I just disagree?
Yeah,
Very quickly.
of course you
I
can.
feel like I understand what you mean, and that's true in probably majority of cases. The statement that you made that you have to be older to basically talk about life. Is that basically what you're saying?
Yeah, I agree.
I don't think it's about age. I think it's about experience. And you probably will. Do you agree with that? Okay.
No,
I don't want to
land,
put words.
no.
I don't want to put words in your
No,
mouth.
please,
I
finish
think it's
your
about
point,
experience.
please.
I think the reason why older people are wiser is because they've just experienced more. But I do believe that it's possible for younger people to go through so much that
No,
at
you're
this
right.
point you can
right.
definitely write about life because you've just had the experience. So for me, it's definitely not all the time. Like for me, I feel like I've been through stuff, but like it's not that serious. Like it can't ever be that deep. I've definitely been through stuff. But where I am right now, I'm not gonna write a book and say, yeah, this is life. Like I've been through this, I've been through that now. But I feel like people my age have definitely been through so much that they can write about and genuinely give people advice and feedback on like just life in general.
I completely agree with you,
Yeah.
and it's not much for me to say, but one thing that's inspired me, again, is the theme we're going to keep seeing here is Van Gogh. I think he's my greatest artistic hero. And you know that famous paint, The Starry Night?
Yeah.
Everyone knows
I
that.
know
In
it,
fact, when I
yeah.
even just said it to you, whoever's listening and you just
Yeah.
imagine the blues, the
And
swirls.
the swirls and the
He
yellow
painted
stars,
that
I
in
got you.
1890.
Yeah.
But in his letters from 1882, so 8 years, he was always talking about, he goes to his brother Theo, that's all the letters, I want to paint the Starry Night, I want to do it, I'm going to do it. It's 5 years go later, he still hasn't done it. But when he eventually does it, because it's been brewing and cultivating
in
his
the
mind,
mind.
that painting isn't just one painting. It's a culmination of an 8-year process of him imagining, building it. And that's how I feel like I'm with my own writings and novels. I can easily just start now and write.
You could.
But I want to let it
Wait.
brew
Yeah.
and mold and get better. And I think to be a great artist, you need to... one of the best lines ever. It said, to understand the history of art, you need to have a history of reading. So I need to read other artists. I'm reading your Tolstoy's, Dostoevsky's, Alexander Dumas, and Kafka's to to take what I really like from them,
inspire.
yeah, and
Yeah.
synthesize it into my own artwork.
Mhm.
Right now, every time I read a new novel, I'm like, if I would have started a novel then now
Mhm.
and haven't read this, my novel would have been way worse. So I want to build
Do
up
you
an
know what that makes me
experience.
think of? Have you read Nietzsche?
Oh, I love Nietzsche so much. Oh, I could
He,
go on about him all day if you want me to.
because the thing is, we're just about to start going on about him.
Cool, let's do it.
Don't do too much though, but what's that? We're gonna start talking about him. I think the issue with a lot of his writings over time apparently got better.
Mm-hmm.
So what you just said made me think about that. He went back on a lot of the statements that he made in his earlier books, as opposed to the books that he like wrote towards it. I think his last book was
Thus spoke Zarathustra.
absolutely good. So we're on the same page. I just want to lean into Nietzsche for a second because the question is, should we fear death? And it like when we look at his writings and the stuff that he has to say, what do you like? What do you think he would say?
Okay, okay, what Nietzsche says about. Okay, so you want to talk about death or like basically the existence and meaning at this point? Because I think you can't talk about meaning and existence. You can't talk about death without mentioning those two.
Absolutely. Let's talk about it.
So Nietzsche basically says that. Have you heard of the concept of the Übermensch?
Yeah.
So the overman, the strong
Yeah.
man, okay? So he basically.
Superman.
Yeah, the
Sometimes,
Superman.
Yeah.
So he's just basically a man who doesn't follow conventions or norms of the herd and the masses.
Yes. What is it called?
Herd morality.
It's called herd morality, but he calls that that way of life. He calls it something beginning with A.
Hey.
And the thing is, I have to remember it now, otherwise I'm going to close.
Is it a
up
German
this
word?
Episode. No, it's like it's I don't know what language it's in because I wouldn't even say it's English. It's a he calls it it's a way of life. Nietzsche.
Niet ZSCHE. Herd morality word.
No, a way of life. Like it's a specific way of life that he refers to that describes, like the Christian way of living.
Yeah, I'm sure it's herd morality. He calls it herd morality.
Something else.
Yeah, he has a huge critique of Christian ideas and Christianity.
If it doesn't come up, I let it go.
His whole breakdown on Christian morality, it is one of the most unique things I've ever read because it is got a lot of truth to it.
Mm-hmm.
But I do believe it is very, it can be quite cynical as well because he grew up working within churches and stuff. So I think he had some personal resentment towards it. But he was essentially saying Christian morality is basically whatever is deemed. In the Roman Empire, how their social hierarchy was created is that the strongest are at the top and the weakest are at the bottom.
Yeah.
And he says that Christianity was built out of a slave religion, it's a slave morality.
On its head.
So, but yeah, it inverted the power structure. So the Romans who were good, the Romans who were strong were bad people now, morally bad. And all the slaves who were weak and meek,
they became
good. Yeah, so basically, I always say it like this. So think about the structure as vertical. He says the Christians made it horizontal.
Okay,
So good and bad instead of strong and weak. And he said...
that's a good way to think about it.
Yeah, so he just flipped it horizontally. And but he says why Christian morality is so powerful is because the figure of Christ himself. And he says if you want to be Christ, you're going to live a rubbish life. And he was very much, Nietzsche's philosophy was very much inspired by Machiavellian philosophy as well.
Do you know what it is? I think this is why people say that religion is just politics.
Oh, no, it's not. Religion is transcendent. Because religion says you should live by your soul and not by the body. That is transcendent living. Politics is a matter of bureaucracy, ideology. Religion is transcendent.
Is that not what he was describing there?
So he's talking about the bureaucratic element of religion and the structures and the facade of we're pretending we're good, but really we're maneuvering. Nietzsche does not. He's not a guy who hates Christianity. He likes Christ. He says a Christian is someone who is like Christ, not someone who's like Paul, Apostle Tom, Apostle John, or all these kind of guys. You know, and that's a very big critique. And it's the same with Martin Luther in the Reformation period. He said, look at the Catholic Church, and you know the 95 Theses. He knocked on the door, which caused the whole Christian Reformation. He said, look at the Catholic Church. It's turned into this indulgent Roman Empire-esque extravagance, when the whole teachings of Christianity is about the life of Christ and how to become the soul of Christ. And that's why religion is transcendent, because you're taught to live by your soul and not by your body. Your body is very animalistic because it has instincts and desires and animal nature for sex, for food, for lust, for laziness, for violence. And if you live by the desires of your body, you're going to live a sinful life. That's why in Christianity, you're a born sinner, because you're a born animal and you're going to have instincts and desires that will lead to your downfall. But what Christianity says, if you live by the little thing inside of your body called the soul and ignore the pleasures of the body, that's how you reach enlightenment. That's how you reach God. That's how you reach salvation. So, and sorry.
Just to explain where I'm coming from, I think what you're saying is right, but I think what you're describing, this is my opinion, is ethics rather than religion. I think that, not that I'm not religious, so
Neither am I, by the way.
I think that religion can be weaponized, or originally was weaponized as like
originally
it's a political weapon, because like what Nietzsche was basically describing for me is like in order to bring down the political structure of society, you need to make it religious, if that makes sense. So initially, as you said, the strong were at the top until suddenly now they're unethical. And that allows you to flip the script.
Yeah, but it didn't happen just within 2-year period or 3 year.
Absolutely
this
not.
took hundreds of years in the Roman Empire to happen. But you're right. But yeah, you're sorry to interrupt you, but
it's okay.
You're right, because he calls that resentment culture, and we can find that same structure. Well, this same structure. So a lot of I forgot who said. I think it was Nietzsche. Not Nietzsche. Someone called communism rotten Christianity, because if you look at Christianity, what we said, if you look
it
at
might have been him. I'm sorry.
I think it was Nietzsche.
I think
it was. But he said communism is rotten Christianity, because if you think about it, and please remind me to mention why Plato set the soil to allow Christianity to grow.
Okay,
remind me to
I'm gonna
mention
try
that.
and remember to do that.
But if you look at what we just said, Christianity was about making the strong the bad and the weak the good.
Yeah.
And this is the same concept in communism. How the rich, the strong are the bad, and the poor, who are the weak, are the good people. And it's the same, I think, in our modern day society, where we look at the world in Europe and say the white people at the top of the strong, they're the strong, they're the ruling class, therefore they're the bad, and everyone down below that isn't in that category of white is bad. So this concept of resentment.
Did you mean as bad or as good?
Is good, is good. So this resentment culture is always finding itself in every political element. Same with the radical feminist movement. The men are the strong, therefore they're the bad, and the women who are the weak are the good. So resentment clothes itself in freedom. Because I always say, someone can say the richer this, the richer that. If I was to give you £50,000 or £1 million, I guarantee you your ideas will change. Because that resentment is being, basically, what Nietzsche says, is a jealousy that they're in the power and we really want to be there. So in history, what you'll see is the script flip again, flip again, flip again. And the French Revolution is a fantastic example of
historical material.
Historical material, yeah, exactly. Yeah, see the little cherry on top right there.
Just had to add my own 2 pence. But I think the reason why I even started talking about Nietzsche, I hate saying his name.
Yeah,
I don't know.
Americans call him Nietzsche. Yeah, Nietzsche.
Sorry?
Yeah, Americans call him Nietzsche, and I think how you meant it is Nietzsche, but Nietzsche. I call him Nietzsche. I don't even care.
I used to call him Nietzsche.
Nietzsche.
And it's really wrong of me to do that, but like that's how I see it. I see it as Nietzsche. But I had to act right for the episode. Hence, I said Nietzsche.
Yeah, but you're right. I know who you're talking about. I'm sure they'll know who you're talking about.
Like, okay, cool. Like, you're just gonna have to hold it as it is. But the reason why I even brought him up was because not his whole, his claim that God is dead and we have killed him.
Oh yeah, very, very,
Such
very.
a good right?
I'll add one more imagery on top of that. He said, like the horizon in the sky. He said that was, when you're at the beach and you see the horizon, and we can imagine that to be God. God is this one big horizon that, look, he says, how it goes, what the West have done they got a rubber and wiped the horizon away. What a line. Like, God is dead and we've wiped the horizon away. It's just a line that always... So when I'm at the beach, I just do this. If I do this.
Wipe away.
Yeah, like this.
Sometimes I think, is he really a philosopher or like
So
is he a
Nietzsche's
poet?
people
He's
misconceive
such a
that.
good writer.
Oh, his writings
Yeah.
are. When people say, "Well, who's your favorite writer?" and I love literature and poetry,
Mhm.
but there's something about Nietzsche's writings. They're like this. Each sentence is like a dagger. He
Mm.
sharpens it.
Yeah.
You read it, and he's like this, and he throws it at you, the reader. And you're
Mhm.
like, "What did I
Yeah,
just
that's
read?"
yeah. He intentionally made his writing so provocative.
Intoxicating. But
Yeah,
his writings are so similar to Schopenhauer's writings. I
I
read
need to read
Nietzsche
more
before
Schopenhauer.
Schopenhauer. So when I went to
Uh,
Schopenhauer,
you
I was
said,
like,
yeah, because
I see where
he
he's
was
getting this
inspired
from.
by
Yeah.
it.
Because
Yeah,
Schopenhauer was very much like that. He's
yeah,
very honest, very brutal in his words,
yeah,
his imagery. Like, I think that one video I done, he goes, "There's no such thing as happiness, it's
yeah,
just pain removed." And you're like,
yeah,
that's almost Nietzschean kind
yeah,
of imagery.
yeah.
Yeah, for sure. But the Germans tend to be like that. And why German
That's what I've
philosophers are the
realized.
best philosophers
Hmm.
is because they're brave with their writing.
Can I say that? Can I just? I think that's even just you can. Cool. Let me breathe. I agree when
Hmm.
you say that in terms of like the nation of Germany, but I also feel like time wise, these days people are just too scared to say what they really think. People are just too scared to say what
Absolutely.
like just say what you think
Because the
and
herd.
wait for like not even just say what you think however you think it is. And I feel like the problem is in response to that, people hear things that is different to what they're usually used to hearing and then
Mm.
they attack it. You're
For
wrong. You
sure.
can't think that. Who do you think you are? And then the comments that they usually like to run under my comments is, oh, put the mics away.
Oh yeah, that's a
So
common
like
one.
you
I'll
go
give you an
ahead.
example of that. A good example is, as a teacher, I've noticed that year sevens,
Hmm.
a lot of big characters come in year seven, big
Yeah.
personalities. By year 10, they've lost it because you're in the class, you've got a big personality, and all the
Yeah.
other students look at
Are
them
looking
like,
at you like, no, you can't do that.
you
You
can't be like
can't
that.
do that. You
They want
can't
to
be who you
bring you
are.
down.
Exactly. And I think that's why I'm still posting
No, you
because
have to.
I absolutely do have
Oh, you have to.
outrageous ideas, but like most of the things that we do say, philosophers do say, is genuinely just interrogating
It's
stuff.
courage.
We're just questioning things and discussing things. We're not necessarily saying this is the right answer. That's the point of
That's
philosophy.
yes,
You're
exactly.
looking
You're
for
not
the answer,
dogmatic.
exactly,
You're
and you're
not
not saying
yeah.
this is true, this is the right answer. Even though some, when it comes to ethics,
So
of
it's a
course,
thought provoking. It's
thank
thought,
you.
and if people
And people are
comment, it
too
is thought
afraid.
provoking.
Exactly, and
How many
that's
people
all I want.
swipe past and they
That's
don't
all I
even
want.
comment, even to look at
Yeah,
it, and they
that's
see
all I
yours and they
want.
go, don't have to
Yeah, now
comment something.
exactly,
It's
and now
you
you feel
job done.
something. We need to, because I feel like we just need to start having genuine and proper conversations about everything, but on a deeper level. Because a lot of conversations that we have are just so superficial.
So superficial.
But anyway,
But also
keep getting
this is
distracted.
a link to British culture as well.
Go
British culture
on.
is very much stay in line. It's very get back in. Who do you think you are to say? Who are you? What's your expertise?
Mm,
But we've lost the idea that someone see with um institution, university,
yeah,
education system is
yeah,
turned into this. You cannot be deemed educated unless you've been educated.
yeah.
But we forgot the concept that
Mm,
so many great thinkers and ideas, and
yeah.
even mathematicians and
Hmm.
philosophers and writers, painters, even some of the greatest minds have taught themselves.
Yeah,
And that's the best way to learn.
yeah.
Because in an institution, so when you meet people who study philosophy,
Hmm.
their concept of philosophy is what's given to them,
Hmm.
not what they found by
Oh my
themselves.
gosh, literally. I think about it because I study philosophy, and sometimes it's like, what do I actually think? Because I'm learning a specific curriculum, I'm learning a specific specification. I'm not going. I think you're right. You're literally. All I need to do is go out and read the books for myself and
That's
see what I
it.
think about them.
People say,
You need to
"Oh,
educate
where
yourself.
can I go to learn Plato?"
Go read.
Go read
The
Plato.
reference is there. Like, literally go and read
You
it.
know what it is?
You're
Again, it
right.
goes back to the same
And
theme.
laziness,
Is
actually.
courage, is bravery. I
Hmm.
say people read Nietzsche. Oh, I don't know if I'm clever.
Yeah, just read it, bro.
Read it. Just read it.
Or just
Read the
open a book
primary
and read
text,
it.
and
Yeah.
then learn. Then read secondaries after.
Mhm.
That's what I'm saying about the German philosophers. They're
Mhm.
so brave with their ideas. They're so courageous. They will say that Freud example was another one. The
Mm.
German mindset
Oh
is
my gosh.
brave.
Sorry, you just reminded me of something that I really want to say because
Yeah, yeah,
the
see.
other day I was saying to my friends that like a lot of the people who were writing back then, like Freud, literally Nietzsche, literally Schopenhauer, all of them, a lot of
Immanuel
them
Kant
these
even,
days,
yeah.
especially Kant, actually,
Hegel, Heidegger. There's just so many
like you
Germans.
can literally just name every single one of them.
Mm.
All of the philosophers who wrote back in the day, would be cancelled
Oh, for sure.
today.
For sure.
And it's like, that's just so interesting. This concept of cancel culture is very detrimental to intellectual conversation.
Because we live in a postmodernist world now,
Mm-hmm.
where
Talk
no
about
one
it.
is allowed. Anyone who seems like they're speaking as if they have the truth,
Yeah.
they get the axe and they start a revolution against that
given
person.
Orwell.
Yes, yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
So anyone who speaks with conviction about something they love or they believe is true,
Yeah.
is a way of
That
this
goes
is
against the grain.
grow against the grain, and it's also seen as who do they think they are to
Yeah.
have that power.
Yeah.
And knowledge is the most intimidating thing someone
Yeah.
can have. When you meet someone very knowledgeable, you can almost stutter. I've met some people, super intelligent older men,
Yeah.
and I'm shy. I don't even know what to say. I'm like,
You don't
but
know
when
how
I
to speak.
yeah, but if I meet a guy who knows how to fight, it's not the same intimidation as someone with
Yeah.
knowledge. But young people nowadays, especially in our age, how old are you again?
20.
Oh, 20, yeah, 24. Same
Yeah.
age range. In our generation, people have this mindset of, I will only gain knowledge if it can make me money.
Yeah.
This is
Ooh,
creating a world of more ignorance.
you're-
Is the danger.
You're so right.
Yeah.
No, because you're saying stuff and it's like, this is stuff that I've been trying to say, but I can't put it into words. And that's
Yeah.
literally what
It's
I've
very
been trying to
dangerous.
say for a long time.
Because I've met people like, Riyadh, I like that you know this, but
Yeah, but
what are
you gonna
you
do
doing with
that?
this? I'm
What you
thinking,
gonna do?
oh,
That's
you-
how guys are always coming for my degree. Oh yeah, you're studying philosophy, but what are you gonna do with that? It's not about that.
nah.
It's deeper.
It's
just deeper.
No, I don't like to say philosophy's deep. It's elevated. Like, is an
Fair.
elevated thought. Because philosophy,
It's
it
elevating
raises
as well,
you,
yeah.
and you get to look at things like from a bird's eye view. Okay, I can see how this connects to this. Oh my God, this is similar to this. Deep means, in my perspective, it's like a bottom up top look.
Yeah.
Philosophy is elevating, and that's why in Plato, and I say Plato is the greatest because he talks about something called the divided line. You have, imagine this: 1, 2, 3, 4, three line. You know, a line going across.
I think I know where
It
you're
goes,
going to.
the bottom is ignorance, the
Yeah.
middle is spirituality, belief, and at the top is knowing.
Mm-hmm.
And what philosophy does, it raises you from ignorance into belief, so either belief in something
Mm-hmm.
or belief in yourself. And after belief, after knowing what isn't right and what is wrong,
Yeah.
you can ascend into knowing. And that's how he breaks down the human soul. We have a bronze soul, materialists, you know, the lower self, kind of Christian idea of being a slave to your body. The middle soul is silver, and he goes, a lot of people have a silver soul. They're courageous, they're brave, they're spiritual, they're very loving and caring, but they're still not the gold soul, the guy who's reasonable, he can think logically. If something's not right, he doesn't hold on to it anymore, he can let go of it. Plato is by far the greatest philosopher for sure.
I feel like you've said this so many times about like 3 different people in one episode.
Did I?
Yeah.
You know, it's for all different reasons.
Yeah, no. I
Because
get
you've got to
it.
remember, with Nietzsche is trying to be like Plato. What Nietzsche tried to do is a re-evaluation of all values.
Yeah.
So he looked at what the morality of the time, what the norms and the values and the conventions were, and was trying to re-evaluate to install his new own ones. And it's exactly what Plato done in ancient Greek society. Because before Plato, the Greek society followed the Homeric religion of Homer, the Iliad, the Odyssey. So the two main heroes of ancient Greek society were Achilles and Odysseus. Achilles for young men was a good hero because the ancient Greek young men were like this: I will grow up to be like Achilles, strong, powerful, fit, athletic. If there's a problem with me, I'll slash them down. But then Homer realized this is a bit of a problem because we can't have young men growing up to be like Achilles. So Odysseus was the next story: cunning, deceptive, clever, manipulative. And then Plato goes, look at this. So now this is the values at the time. Okay. Now Plato is reevaluating these values by saying, young men shouldn't look up to Achilles. Young men shouldn't look up to Odysseus. I'm going to give them a new hero, Socrates. A man who, young men can grow up to be like Socrates, a reasonable man who thinks, he's nice. When you read the Republic, Socrates doesn't destroy you, insults you. He's very reasonable. Now, how does this relate to Nietzsche? Nietzsche's done the same. He critiqued Christ. He critiqued other heroes like
And gave us
other philosophers. And who did he
Superman.
try to give as a new hero? Zarathustra. Zarathustra was Nietzsche's way of trying to create a new Socrates. So Nietzsche is amazing, but he's very intellectually jealous of Plato. 100%. And
That
if you
was
want,
such a beautiful sentence.
but if you want proof of What makes someone a great thinker
Yeah.
or philosopher? Look at their students. Who was Plato's student?
Aristotle.
Arguably one of the second greatest philosopher ever, you know? And who is Aristotle's student?
I can't even tell you.
Alexander the Great.
I haven't read that far.
Oh, like Aristotle. One of my favorite paintings. Have you ever seen the School of Athens painting? And I'll show you it quickly, and I'll show it to the camera.
Describe it.
So
maybe
it's in the Vatican in Rome, and it's basically Raphael was a painter. You know the Ninja Turtles, Raphael? It's named after this painter.
Oh, that's cool.
Did you know that the Ninja Turtles are named after Leonardo after Da Vinci,
Oh my gosh.
Donatello named after Donatello,
Oh my
Raphael
gosh.
after Raphael, Michelangelo after. Yep, I thought that's it. Well, this is the painting,
I
yeah.
didn't need that.
This is basically the School of Athens.
Yeah, I've seen it. Yeah,
Cool.
I've
If
seen
they
it.
don't
I've seen
know-
it. I've seen it. I'll put it up on the thingy
This
so
is
that they can see the image.
So you see this
Yeah.
image here. On the left, this is Plato. On the right is Aristotle.
Yeah.
This is one of the greatest depictions ever of philosophy.
Yeah.
Plato is wearing purple and red because Plato's philosophy is metaphysical and very idealistic.
Yeah.
Fire for red. So fire is almost metaphysical. Fire is very alluring, you know. It's
Yeah.
very I can't because fire has no form.
Yeah.
That's why.
Oh,
And
English.
purple for space, because you know the word ether, the dark ether, that comes from Plato. He believed that was the fifth element. But Aristotle is wearing brown and blue, and Aristotle's doing this.
Yeah.
He's a scientific thinker.
Empiricism.
Blue for the waters, brown for the earth.
Ooh.
And now, when they do, one's looking up. So these, what I say, this picture defines the history of philosophy. You've got two branches, the metaphysicians
Yeah.
and the religious thinkers,
Rationalism.
and
Empiricism.
and the British were the empiricists.
Yeah.
Pragmatic. What works?
Have you
what
read
doesn't work.
Hume?
I've only read one paper by Hume, and it's called on suicide, and he was trying to assess if suicide is a rational or irrational thing. And he said, and he used one argument I really liked, and I actually compared it to abortion.
Yeah.
He said in this essay, he goes, people say suicide goes against nature. So he goes, if your child was drowning in the river, would you save the child, or would you say nature's doing its course? And it was the same with abortion, abortion when it goes, abortion goes against nature. If that's the argument you're going to go, if someone's drowning or in a fire, would you then go, no, I won't save them. I won't intervene in nature's process. I'll allow nature to do what it needs to do. In other words, the whole point of human nature is that we
allow nature to take
or
its
we
course.
manipulate nature. But let's not get too deep in this concept.
Okay, because you did just lose me there, but we
Yeah,
can leave that.
Sorry.
Okay, do you know what I realised? We have not even answered the question.
Should we fear death? You should.
No, we don't even need to answer the question. I feel like the conversation has been like really beautiful as it is. I forgot what I was gonna say, so I'm just gonna bring it.
So I just waffled so
No,
much for a second.
No, you didn't even waffle because, like, a lot of it is relevant things. Like,
For
what we
sure.
spoke about was relevant and important things to talk about anyway. And the question is really just a sentence starter. To see
Can I ask you a question?
Yes, you can, please.
What do you think of when you have a child? Would you let them listen to the current music in today's world?
I feel like I'll just let my child do whatever they choose.
So would you? So yeah, actually, let me ask you, Becca. Would you ever intervene in your child's cultural interests?
Yeah.
So what? Say if they were born
Because-
today. Say they're 7 years old today.
Yeah.
How would you, as a parent, go about things with TikTok, social media, music, culture?
Oh, let me
Where
tell
would
you
you push their
something.
interests?
I don't think I'll push their interest towards something. I would definitely push it away from something.
Oh wow.
So in
Oh,
terms
I like that
of
one.
that's my truth,
That's
yeah.
a nice one.
Because especially because I'm looking at my sister. I have a younger sister, and the way my parents have like worked on her, she doesn't have a phone still. She's in year 8. She doesn't have a phone. And I was saying this the other day. What I realized is she hasn't had a phone since, and she doesn't have a phone now. But she has a phone, but she doesn't have social media right now. She doesn't have TikTok. She's not allowed to have Instagram. Not that she's not allowed, but she like is strongly advised that not right now. Because I got Snapchat in year 11. By the way.
Oh wow.
Yeah, I started doing social media
Wow.
properly, like literally. I deleted it for
When you're
2
a bit
years.
more mature,
Yeah,
yeah, that's nice.
That's just how and the thing is, no one forced me to do that. That's just how I decided to live. But it was heavily influenced by my parents. But anyway, what I realized is she can play the piano, she can play the ukulele,
Beautiful.
she can play the cello. She's incredible at art. She's
Wow.
very good at reading, and
Wow.
her maths is incredible.
And do you think
the
social
reason
media
why-
could undo that a little bit?
Not that it can undo it, it will stop the process. Because when children are
Yeah.
introduced to things
Yeah.
like quick 30-second video, that's all they're gonna do is quick. It's fun. There's light. It's bright. Children they like. That's why Coco Melon is so popular. They like bright things. They like songs.
Coconut,
They
yeah,
like stuff like that. And it's like the TV shows that used to be on CBeebies were good because they were educational, for
absolutely agree.
example, and
Completely
they
agree.
were also just, this is a 30-minute video now. After that, the video that comes after is good night, son. Time to go to sleep at
It's
7
almost, it's
p.m.
dopamine stuff now, isn't it? Yeah.
Now, exactly. Now it's all
Absolutely,
just
definitely.
for like it's capitalism. Let's be for real. Just so that because they know that the children want this. This is what they're gonna promote. This is what the parents are gonna buy. But let me get back to the point that I was making, which is that my sister is very multifaceted and she's very, very, very talented when it comes to reading and things of that nature.
Phenomenal.
And that is because she has
Beautiful.
not been distracted by things like TikTok and social media. That is not to say that I'm gonna tell people how to parent their kids. But what I will say is
Speak
the
your-
reason why the likes of, I don't know, you know all the incredible composers, they didn't have TikTok.
Yeah. Oh.
Do you know what they did
I
have?
completely agree with you.
They had time.
That.
And what stops people from really flourishing when it comes to things like TikTok? You think you will scroll one, 3 hours have gone by.
Can I give you a little concept I have about the TikTok scrolling?
Please do.
So you know on TikTok there'll be loads of little accounts that are just posting clips.
Yeah.
And also you know they make money from these
Yeah,
clips.
yeah, yeah.
I call them the internet drug dealers. Okay? Because
This is good.
in real life, a drug dealer,
Yeah.
they will sell you drugs at your expense. So
Yeah.
you're the one suffering.
You're gonna buy it,
and
and
I'm
you're
making
gonna have
profit off your suffering.
consequences.
Now it's just a digital version where I'll make all these accounts,
Yeah.
brain rot content.
Yeah, yeah.
I'll sell it, make money off of people's expense. So I call them internet drug dealers.
Yeah.
And only if they knew that, of course, it's about ethics now. And I'm someone who believes in the consequences of things. I can never do things if I know the consequences lead to bad because it goes against my morals and principles. And when you
Yeah.
put in brain rot content out there, yes, you're making money.
Yeah.
But is that doing,
But what
is
does
that
it
true
do?
justice
Yeah.
for the community in the world you grow
Is
up in?
it-
Of
is it
course not.
good?
It's not.
Literally,
good?
is it good?
Yes, exactly.
Literally.
We're on such a great trade of thinking because it goes
Yeah.
back to Plato. The first book of the Republic is all about justice.
Mm-hmm.
And they all talk about what is justice. Socrates beautifully says, justice is this: doing what's best for yourself,
Mm-hmm.
not what's most pleasurable for yourself. And that is what for a leader of a city or a country should do. Not what's best for him or his party or the people around him or
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
the elites, but what's most pleasurable in me, but do what's best for everyone.
The community.
And it's the same, I
Yeah.
believe, if we had this concept on an individual level, we'll
Do
we'll
what's
harbour a
best,
much better
yeah.
community, doing
Rather
what's
than
best
what's
for each other,
pleasurable,
what most
yeah.
pleasure. And that's why it's a transcendent way of living. Doing what's best is living by an ideal, and doing what's most pleasurable is living by the body, a material. What did you say earlier? It's a material way of living.
Yeah, I don't remember.
But
what
yeah,
I said, I
internet
said
drug
something.
dealers. They're
That's so interesting. I like that. And it's stuff like that that people are gonna come and be like, "What on earth is he talking about?"
No, let them do
And it's
that.
just like
I don't mind.
people like that's what I'm saying. It's just that like the reason why we have all of the theories that we have today is because people sat down and they actually theorized.
Yeah, absolutely.
And
But you
people are
said a
so
beautiful line
afraid.
though. Time. Such a
I'm
beautiful
telling
line
you,
because
I'm
it's so
telling
true.
you,
One
I'm telling you,
because when you
it's
read
time.
Nietzsche and Plato, Schopenhauer, you're like,
Yeah.
think about this. They didn't have computers. They would
They
have on their
had
desk books,
time.
books, books, books.
And they had time to get through that.
So much
time to
time.
write about it because
So
they weren't
much time.
distracted by 30-second clips that would take them on like what down a rabbit hole of scrolling for
Oh,
30 hours
when you're
straight.
scrolling next time, yeah. I've tried to do this and I realize why TikTok is so powerful or scrolling, okay?
Yeah.
Try say to yourself, I'm only going to watch 5 more.
Yeah. Yeah.
By the third one,
Yeah.
I promise you won't remember. That's a good way to see how powerful it is. Because I'm like, you know what? 3 more and I'll come
Now
off TikTok.
go to sleep.
1, 2, it never
And then
ends.
suddenly it's 10, suddenly it's 20. And it's like
It's a good
if
thought experiment.
you actually conceptualize how many videos you even get through like in your lifetime, it's
brain rot.
crazy. Social media is crazy. Like
What do you think about iPad babies?
I think about them exactly what I think about my sister, like what I said. You're really, really hindering a child's growth and the potential. This could be our next generation of serious philosophers, bruv. Do you know what they could come up with? They could probably solve so many, because these kids are so smart, they're so quick.
Mm.
Children in general, they're so smart, they're so quick. They could literally,
Tell me
like,
about it.
all you have to do is cultivate the
I
environment that they are
completely agree
in.
with you.
Give them the paper, give them the pen. That's what
Hmm.
they need.
Do you know what children are like? You know when you play chess.com or something and you play against
Mm-hmm.
those difficult
Yeah,
but
yeah,
you're doing it and they make the most simple move and you're like,
yeah. Why
huh?
didn't I think of
And it's the
that?
same true. Obviously I said before I'm a teacher. I'm
Mm-hmm.
in lesson two at something and they ask me the most simple question
And it's like,
and
it's
I'm
cleared
like,
the whole thing.
oh,
Oh,
I don't even.
the lesson's over now.
How do I
Like,
even answer
do you
that?
know
That
what I
is such
mean?
a good question.
Yeah.
That is such a good. Children are beautiful, and one thing what makes me want to be a teacher is that I just can't conceptualize how curious kids are. They're so passionate, so curious, so
Yeah.
inquisitive. But how is it they're like this in year 6,
Yeah.
and
And
by
then it
year 10, end of
disappears.
the back of the class
Where
like
did it
this?
go? Yeah.
I
Where did
think
it
it's a
go?
tragedy. But the
And
school system has to reform. It has
oh my
to.
gosh, this no, there's so much that I could talk about. There's so much that I could talk about, I don't want to get into it because I want to.
If there's anywhere in your life to get into it, it's here. Who cares what the herd think?
That's so true. What was I gonna say? I feel like
Don't be phased by the comments.
I
They
feel
come and
like
go.
you're right.
Trust me.
I feel like what it is that this concept of our like teenagers, they just grow up and they're gonna get grumpy, like puberty type thing.
Yeah,
I feel like saying that is what makes people like you're speaking it into existence,
Self-fulfilling
basically.
prophecy.
Yeah,
Yeah.
self-fulfilling prophecy.
Yeah.
Exactly.
It's the same with children. If I say, you know
So
what some student said to me once? He goes, "Sir, you always give me praise, but I thought I'm meant to be the bad one."
yeah,
I was like, oh.
yeah, you've spoken that onto yourself.
I was
Like,
like, oh, like,
you're gonna be the bad
you
one.
believed what they said, you
Yeah,
know?
yeah,
And a lot of adults struggle to. What you said earlier, there's so many things to talk about. What you said earlier is so true. This generation is a great generation for a new generation of philosophers,
yeah.
or not philosophers, because philosophers.
But just intellectuals in general.
Intellectuals.
Yeah, yeah,
Because
yeah.
when, as much as you read Plato, as much as you read Nietzsche and all philosophers,
Mhm.
one thing that always comes to an end of their thought is they didn't have social media.
Yeah.
So a lot of their ideas are phenomenal,
Mhm.
but it only reaches a certain peak
Mhm.
before we need to take the ideas and carry it onto the next level.
Mhm.
Because social media has changed everything. So I think we're going to have social media philosophers soon in the next 30, 40 years.
That is literally what I'm waiting for.
Yeah, I'm waiting
Like,
for it
come
too.
on, let's like get to it. Like, hurry up. And the only way that we can get there faster, if like we can even rush the process, is by people forgetting this whole thing about cancel culture. Forgetting this whole thing about there's one right idea and everyone has to agree with this idea. Otherwise, you're wrong. And like, that's a very, very political view
Cancel
of
culture
just
is
life in
so
general.
dangerous.
Very. They
Have you
know
ever
what they
heard
did
of,
when they introduced it.
Have you ever heard of the philosopher Hannah Arendt? Arendt.
No, I have. Yeah.
She is
Yeah.
the most
She
phenomenal
was
philosopher. Oh,
good.
watch her interviews on YouTube. If anyone watching, yeah, she'll be sitting there, black and white,
Yeah.
cigarette.
Oh, she's
I
hard.
don't consider myself a philosopher. She's so good. But she
She's
said something. The
hard.
greatest human invention, she argues, is the idea of forgiveness. Because the hardest thing as a human to do is to act, to do something. And that connotates bravery and courage as well. Because once we act and do or say something, we can never take it back. And what Shakespeare said, what is done is done. But she said the concept of forgiveness is a way for us to free ourselves from an action.
Yeah.
So in today, these celebrities are people who say things, then they get cancelled. The only way for them to redeem or repent for some bad action is to be forgiven. But if forgiveness is never an option, they're burdened to live with their fault for the rest of their life. So once society gets rid of the concept of forgiveness, it's very dangerous. And there's been many societies in history where forgiveness is not allowed. Basically, that leads to terror.
Yeah.
And so forgiveness is one of the greatest human inventions. And cancel culture is undermining
Yeah.
is undermining it. But I think we've moved a little bit past cancel culture now.
I feel like we've moved past posting, you're cancelled. Like, you know how they used to like specifically say this person is cancelled. We've definitely moved past that, but I don't think the culture's gone. I feel like it's there, but just in a different format.
It's no different to exile or exiling someone or imprisoning them for their thoughts and beliefs.
But like
But it's
just
just
on
the digital
socials,
version
yeah,
now.
unfollow, block, whatever, not liking their content, not engaging with their
One thing I
content.
do like, there's one thing I do like a lot, is you know how a lot of people are now blocking celebrities to make them lose all their followers?
Oh, is that what people are doing?
Yeah, so Kim Kardashian lost like 3 million followers.
Oh, damn.
Because to stop them, and I think that's a great way of revolting against
What
a
did
system.
Kim do this time?
I don't know, but it's just a way of basically some celebrities are influencers on TikTok
Yeah.
and social media.
Yeah.
They are so useless to society. They offer nothing, like absolutely nothing, like
them.
nothing. This is my skincare routine, guys. This is what I bought from Pretty Little Thing, and they're getting paid thousands upon
And
thousands.
I think I genuinely, I don't know if it's if it's the capitalist society, but it's a political plot. They know what they're doing, and
What do they call it?
I have
Plant.
to attribute it to capitalism because it's just a way of making money. Dumb down the whole society.
Money's God
Make
now,
people
isn't
stop
it?
thinking. Yeah,
If
that's
Nietzsche
what it
said
is.
God is dead and the throne is vacant, the dollar sign has taken its place.
Yeah.
For sure. But this is
And
the
that was such a
Americanization.
beautiful image that you
Yeah,
just
yeah.
drew out right there. Absolutely.
Yeah, I've got another image I love. Is I think who killed God was Immanuel Kant. I believe strongly he
Oh
was
my
the man
gosh.
who killed God.
Can't.
Yeah, Immanuel
You
Kant.
can't just
Kant,
do that. You
Kant.
can't
Do you know
just
what it is?
make
That's the
it.
one name I always get.
No,
Immanuel Kant.
I'm not saying.
Oh,
like,
oh,
I'm
sorry,
not saying
sorry.
how to
Yeah,
pronounce
yeah,
it. I'm
Immanuel
just saying you
Kant.
can't.
He
I say
killed God.
can't. I don't know how to
killed
say
God.
it. I
I always
care.
say if Nietzsche and I always say this, Immanuel Kant put the bullet through God's head,
Oh my
and Nietzsche
gosh.
found the body later on.
Ooh,
That's how I
fairs.
always like to
Ooh,
say it. Or God
fairs.
or Nietzsche like this. Found him. This
Found
is God. He's on the
him. He's
floor.
dead.
Yeah. He's
He's
dead.
dead, and we have killed him.
And that's what people
literally.
misconceive. Nietzsche
Yeah.
didn't kill
He
God.
didn't
He's
kill God.
announcing
He's
him.
announcing his.
He's
Ooh, you're right.
yeah. He's
You're
announcing.
right.
You know, basically like this. You know when you see The Simpsons or in real life, the end of days, someone's wearing a cardboard.
Yeah.
That's Nietzsche with the cardboard saying God is dead,
Yeah.
and you have killed him. The
You know,
greatest crime in Western history is
You know,
killing God.
What's the game? What's the game? Among Us.
Among
How
Us.
you have to go find a dead body.
Yeah, and then
Yeah,
Immanuel
that's what it
Kant is the
is.
one because
He found it.
Immanuel Kant
Yeah.
basically split human experience into two things: phenomena and noumena.
Yeah, and
Phenomena is just the process of the external
he
world.
did too much. You don't need to do all that. Like his whole book, all of the transcendental idea. That's the hardest book I've ever done in my life.
Yeah,
I'm
I'll
never
get
gonna
to
read
it
it again.
eventually.
You take time, take your
No,
time.
I'm
You don't need to
excited to
rush
read it.
at all. It's
Yeah.
very rare. But I'm not gonna tell you what it is because maybe you understand it, maybe you don't. But I did not enjoy that at all. Maybe
Oh,
it's the
it's
way that I
very
taught
difficult,
it.
but that's normal though.
Maybe
It's
it's the
so
way that
normal.
I was taught it. But mm-mm.
Well, that's so normal. I've watched a lot of great
Who
philosophy
asked him to
lectures,
do
and they
that?
always say the same thing. When they introduce Kant, they always say, "Okay, guys, it's like eating through metal. Like it's you might get
chewing
some
through
snippets. You're
leather,
like,
bruv.
okay, I'm following,
Yeah,
and,
and then
you're like,
suddenly you've lost me, sir. Like you've lost me.
yeah.
In the first 3
Schopenhauer's a
pages.
little bit similar at times as
I
well.
feel like Schopenhauer's writing is just so abstract that you can
he's the
find it.
best. Oh,
The
I
thing
love
about Kant is
Schopenhauer.
that you're trying to do science here. Nobody asked you to do that.
Yeah.
He's literally He's trying to give
But
out
he's
actual
he's a product of the Enlightenment period.
Mm-hmm.
But he said he goes human experience is one big cloudy fog. There's something we feel, but we never can penetrate this fog and know what's on the other side. He goes basically behind this fog is the thing in itself. Some might call it God, some might call it truth, but essentially we can never get past it. So this world of the poets and religion, all they're doing is describing what they believe this fog is. So forever can't reduce God down to this. Since we can never know him, we might as well just keep moving. He done the example of if we had two societies, one is based on noumena experience, another society is based on phenomenon. Phenomenon will take you to the solar system, and noumena wouldn't be able to invent anything. And it's a reasonable argument to make. But I was going to say something to you about Schopenhauer. Why Schopenhauer is so unique, how influenced he was by Eastern philosophy.
Yeah.
But what makes him even greater as an intellectual, he came to conclusions about human experience. Then he read Eastern philosophy and goes,
Oh, this matches what
well, yeah, he didn't read it, then build
then,
it. He
yeah.
built it, then found it somewhere else. But you know the book, it goes world as will and representation.
Beautiful book.
I can explain it in the most simple way. In Hinduism, they say, and this is what he was very inspired by, he said there is one God. How God shows itself is different to everyone. So it represents itself to different people. If you speak this language, God will show himself in your language.
Yeah,
If
I
you
agree with
have
that.
this cultural and this aesthetic taste, God will reveal itself to that aesthetic taste. So in the Hindu god pantheon, there's one at the top and all these different representations to match different types of people. This framework is what Schopenhauer's taken about human society. He says, all human beings, we belong to one single will. But how that will represents itself is different through different individuals. So me and you, we both share one will, but how the will decides to represent is different, me and you. So he said, if someone steals from you with a knife and tries to kill you and steal something, that is the exact same representation, is the same will as someone who robs a bank.
Yeah.
Different representations. One is with a knife at gunpoint.
fair.
One is stealing with a
Good
gun in a bank.
example.
But it's from the same will,
Yeah.
represented in two different aspects. So
Fair.
and I believe that. So when we go, why does history always repeat itself? And I think he has the best argument is because we all belong to one will, and history will always repeat how it represents itself in different ways. So the French Revolution is very similar to the Russian Revolution. In Schopenhauerian terms, it would be they come from the same will of revolution, but is represented in two different ways. But essentially, it's the same thing.
Yeah.
So I think it's the greatest. I would argue I'm a Schopenhauerian. I view the world through his metaphysics.
Yeah. He had a very interesting theory, and I liked it a lot.
Who's one person you don't like?
Like a philosopher I don't
Yeah.
like.
Or a concept, or a viewpoint, or a branch of philosophy you
That I
don't like?
don't agree with. Oh, I don't know. I can't even think of anything that comes to mind right now.
Mine would be psychology.
Do you
I
think
think
psychology
psychology-
is philosophy?
Is a schism of philosophy, because
Okay.
Freud basically said there's no such thing as philosophy. If you
But
really
like, you
look
can't
at
say that.
no, but what he says is that when you look at philosophy truly,
Yeah.
you can't really speak about the philosopher's theory without the philosopher's psychology. So really, the philosopher is imposing his psychology onto the world.
He just
Is
wants
it
to be
some truth in
relevant.
that? There is some truth.
I hear where he's
But I
coming
don't
from,
think
but he
philosoph-
just wants to be relevant. Leave us alone for it.
Absolutely.
Go away.
But psychology
The
is
man
very
makes me
damaging
scared.
for.
The
I
study
be-
of psychology.
Yeah,
or-
because I think it traps man too much in their own head, whereas I think philosophy liberates you from your head.
Yes. But I just feel like we need different mediums of thought and different mediums of understanding to look at. Because do you know what? Something I always ask myself is like, if I could do a case study, I would really do this. I would go
okay.
into universities and I will ask one question to different what do you call it? Different people studying different courses. And what you will find is an art student will answer like what is the human body, for example. They will answer that
Wow.
so differently to a biology student.
That's very true.
He will say made up of cells. To a chemistry student, he will say it's made up of chemicals. To a psychology student, he will say it's about the mind.
That's a great point you
Do you
make.
see? And to
Yeah.
a sociology student, who will just, I don't know, talk about intersectionality maybe. To a politics student. And I just feel like you need all these different mediums of understanding to really like understand.
Really
Like,
into one person.
yeah,
And
to
that's
bring
what
it
them
all
philosophers in the
together.
past, they were polymaths. They understood so many different subjects.
Yeah.
They knew physics, biology, maths, chemistry,
That's why philosophy is literally
ethics,
the
morality.
best. There's a philosophy of everything.
Yeah, but Foucault, Michel Foucault says that it's a form of power by the state to dissect education into so many different specializations, basically not allowing all of this education in the hands of one person. Because only a person who has a lot of education.
Capitalism.
I don't know if it's
Sorry.
capitalism.
You don't think
We have to
from
be
capitalism?
careful with the word capitalism.
Okay, fair.
Because
Everything else
power
of
and power, indoctrination, propaganda, structures, and hierarchy precede
Yes,
capitalism.
capitalism.
So I don't believe the
And that
powers
was-
that be.
all that stuff was very prominent in communism, or the
Yes,
attempts
exactly.
at communism anyway.
Yeah. So remember, the powers that be, or the ruling class, the
Whatever you want to call it.
yeah, whatever you want to call it, they're not trying to keep capitalism. They're trying to keep power. It doesn't matter if it's
Ooh.
capitalism. It doesn't matter
it's
if it's this or
communism, if
war,
it's whatever.
military, or social media. It's power, and that's why I think Nietzsche's
right.
main great idea is the will to power.
Mm.
Everything in politics is about power. When you
Yeah,
look at the religious
wanting
wars, is it a
power.
war about religion or is it a war about control of
This is what
power?
I was saying earlier.
Yeah.
That's what I was saying earlier. A lot of stuff to do with religion, because when it comes to religion, I genuinely feel like religion is for people and not for God. I feel like
Yeah.
God, I feel like God is personal. Your relationship with God is personal,
Great.
but religion, it absolutely it creates that community. But I feel like it's very, very much for like it's very much a worldly thing,
Mm.
and as a result of it being a worldly thing, it has been used as a weapon. Like you can see it just across the world. Like the way people manufacture the concept of religion using God's name in vain to say, oh, this is what is right, this is what is wrong, simply for political gain, and by virtue of the political gain, economic gain, because at the end of the day, everyone just wants money. But yeah,
Power.
that's my own view on religion. Not that I'm not religious anyway, but like, I
But
just
this
feel like
isn't
people
like
should
a set in
interrogate.
stone view, because I'm sure
That's
when
what I'm
you're
saying.
25, the view will change. When you're 30,
It possibly will.
yeah, it's
But that's just
absolutely true.
how I feel about it right now. That's something that, as you said, I would write about now, might be wrong when I'm older. You know what I
And it
mean?
will be wrong probably,
You don't
because you're
agree.
young.
You don't
No, because
agree.
because I promise you, how when you're young, I really believe this. When you're young, because it's a new idea, we hold on to it much more.
Oh yeah, because I feel like I'm smart now because I came up with something new.
No, no, no.
Basically,
I don't
I
even
don't know
try to
what you're
do
trying
that.
to say.
I'm just saying, like, I'm guilty of this as well. We fall in love with this new idea. We believe it works. But then
Yeah.
the best idea is to just
Wait.
don't hold it so tight.
Yeah. Wait.
Because you don't want to look foolish for now having to go back against your.
Yeah.
Because I have journals now that
Yeah.
go back 5 years. When I read some of my ideas
You're
when I
like,
was 20, I'm
that
like,
didn't eat.
didn't eat nothing, just starving, homeless.
And that's what's so interesting just about philosophy in general. And people need to stop taking things too seriously sometimes.
I think
feel.
Wittgenstein was another one who done that. Went back on a lot of his old ideas, and reworked them.
He was cool.
Yeah, he
I
was
liked the
very
stuff
cool.
that he had to
Wittgenstein's
say.
underrated, but he's too technical. You have to be very, not clever, but you have to.
Yeah,
You have to have some
careful.
form of intelligence to
Yeah.
understand him.
Yeah, but even with, I feel like with the stuff that he says, you have like it's too um dogmatic to some degree. Like,
Think so?
yeah, like it's too
Yeah, but he's
prescriptive.
talking in the world of maths, so it's very
So
principled,
that's probably what it
objective.
is. Fair.
Because maths is, people say there's no such thing as objective truths. You just don't know maths. That's what I say. You just don't know maths,
I
because
think-
maths is objective truth.
An objective truth is a contradiction.
Think so?
Yeah.
What is
because-
maths?
No, because saying objective truth is just, what do you call it? Begins with a T. You know when there's a word, and then you say the word next to the word, and then now it's
A word?
no, it's not. This is a tautology.
Oh yeah, but tautology is something that always equals something, isn't it?
I don't know.
Like 2 + 2 = 4. That equals is tautology. It will always equal 4. So the tautology of something, it will always happen. If I drop this phone, it will always fall. So the tautology is, it falls.
That's
So
why I say objective truth is a tautology, because
yes.
a truth is objective. So why do you have to add objective in front of truth? Because these days people think that truth is subjective. You know, when people on social
Yeah,
media,
truth is
yeah,
not
that's my
subjective.
truth.
It's not
Yeah, that's my truth. And what I think is,
But when people say that, I really believe subjectivity is a way to mask your intellectuality. If you're
your lack of.
lack of intellectuality.
I agree.
I completely, because
Yeah, that's what I think.
because me and you, we can have a debate about art.
Mhm.
Someone could be so well read, so well versed, very, very, very well read in art, and they have an opinion or an expert opinion about art. But you, not just use an example, you never read anything, but never really looked at it. But you go, you're wrong. This is my subjective belief. It undermines truth. It's very dangerous when you do that.
And that's what I think postmodernism is like.
The critique of anything objective truth.
Yeah. And I think that's the problem with the world right now. People are too scared to think that things are just what it is. Like, people, like, for example, this is like a very trivial thing, but like obviously the connotations of being fat, for example, it had negative connotations because it was often before in some cultures associated with being ugly, even though in other cultures being fat is very beautiful. But that's a conversation for another day. I just think, for example, if you say, oh yeah, that person is fat, or that person has a big head, oh my gosh, you can't say that. No, you can't say that. That's really rude. It's a fact.
It's creating a sensitive society. You don't want that. History shows.
As you said, what did you call it earlier? An effeminate society.
Oh yeah, we are in an effeminate society now. And that's not to say it's bad, but
Yeah,
it
that's not
is
to
an
say it's
effeminate
fat,
society.
but that's
for
what I'm
sure.
saying. People are so quick to say, "Oh
And
yeah,
another
this is bad,
reason
this is good." It's
reason
just
why
objective.
society is becoming effeminate is because of the lack of the father in the household. So a lot of
Push.
children are being socialized by just a woman,
Yeah.
so they're growing up with much more female traits.
Mhm.
And essentially, the welfare state has replaced the father in the household because now, say if a woman 20 years, say before the welfare state, got divorced from her husband or her father passed away, the incentive is to get another husband, so he comes in a strong male role model in the house and a means of income. But now, if a woman's to divorce her husband or her father passes away, there's no incentive for her to go get a new husband or a boyfriend to bring in a man in the house. She can go to universal credit, get a welfare system. So essentially, the state is the new father. There's a very, very interesting guy everyone should watch on YouTube. And his name is Thomas Sowell, an American economist, and these are his ideas. And I just think it's completely true because me and my mum had this discussion. When I was 13 years old, my father passed away, and then my mum says to me, "You're right. If I was in the 50s or 60s, I would have had to go out, get a new husband to bring a man in, to bring income in. But that's not just for income. Now it's a man in the house. So the children are socialized by feminine energy and masculine as well, because you need a balance between the two. And I'm a binary thinker. I do think the world can be separated into binary options.
Because that's what I was gonna ask. I was gonna ask, do you believe? I don't know what the actual specific term is. I've forgotten. But do you believe that men and women are born with specific characteristics?
For sure, yeah, biology, for sure, yeah.
Do you think it's biological? A lot of people
Absolutely.
don't agree with that.
No, I completely agree with it. I think, okay, it's a bit metaphysical. I think we both have the same soul, equal soul, no difference in our souls, but how the flesh and bone is created around the soul is different. That's how I agree. 'Cause women are, this concept of equality between man and women is so difficult. It's because men are great at some things. Women are also great at some things. But it's just because of material and the money and profession and status is what's made it feel like if we make it equal, we can share the same status. Status is a very, very it creates resentment, because if men have got the status, we got the fame, the riches, and the glory and history, it will create resentment on the other side. You get what I mean? So status is what.
I feel like, sorry.
No,
I feel
I'm
like
just talking too much.
Men and women are, like, this is literally just like the last thing I want to say, because I just feel like I should say something. Men and women are both have the capacity to have both masculine and feminine traits.
Oh yeah, for sure. I completely agree.
So it's difficult then to now say that men are born with masculine traits, and then women are born with feminine traits only.
Yeah,
do you see where I'm coming from?
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah,
and I think in today's discourse of what is a man, what is a
woman, which is not something that I'm ready to get into.
No, we don't never need to get into it, because I think Marcus Aurelius said it best. Don't tell me what a man is, show me one. Don't tell me what a woman is, show me one. That's it.
Or like the idea of being a woman that you want to be.
Just be one. Why talk?
I think all the talk is just very, very unnecessary.
Just be one. Show one.
I'm glad we were able to understand that same point together, because I was scared for a minute that maybe we're gonna have to get into a conversation.
No, we won't, because I think it's as simple as that. Show one. Don't be one. Don't tell me what one is.
Yeah, exactly. The truth is, like, if I tell you how long we've been here, you might be shocked. How long do you think we've been here for?
You know what? I can't lie. I did see it like 10 minutes ago. I saw an hour. I was
like,
but we'll wrap. You're the host, innit?
Oh, this is a good time. Only because I'm like very lazy when it comes to editing.
I hear it.
Yeah, so
I used to do hour and a half ones. I'm like, oh, that's good. You know, I'm like,
drag.
I get to 45 minutes. I'm like,
drag. It's enough.
Another
now.
45 minutes.
Yeah, it's enough now. Yeah. So that's why for me, I stick.
I've really enjoyed myself in this conversation.
Really,
I really liked it. Of course,
even
you're a great host. You're
really,
I'm
trying my damn hardest. I just like philosophy, and I like people who like philosophy, and there's two people here who like philosophy. I'm sure
this won't be the only one we ever do as well.
You know, I was gonna say, come back.
Yeah,
you will be back. We'll be having another conversation.
Yeah.
So what I was gonna say to close out the video is, you didn't answer the question. And that's fine. We started off with answering the question.
I said, like, art,
you answered it but you know, I had so many other things to say.
So I'll give a closing statement.
Give a closing statement.
Should we fear death?
I'm surprised you even remember the
Yeah, of
question.
course, because
Despite everything that
I
we
feel
started
like
talking
everything in this episode
about.
is braided into each other.
I
It's
think
not.
it, yeah, yeah, yeah. Don't get me
Yeah,
wrong. It's not that we just sat here and had just like a chat about
yeah,
absolutely
yeah.
nothing. I think the conversation was gorgeous. I think it was
Gorgeous,
really good. Yeah,
gorgeous.
that's how I
Oh,
want to
je ne sais
describe it.
quoi, la la la.
No, yeah, whatever.
Yeah.
That's what I think. But I'm just saying that you didn't answer the question. So you might see the question being answered by someone else in the
Should we
future.
fear death? Yes. But should we fear if death is coming tomorrow? No.
See, you never said that before.
I'm saying it now.
I know, but I wanted to unpack it. No, you're very. He's like, yeah, well, I'm saying it now. You're right, but I wanted to unpack that. I know I feel like we don't have time. Just quickly, just like, what do you mean by that?
I mean, we should fear death, of course, because
Yeah.
I said it gives you urgency. But should you
To do
think it's
something
gonna
with your
come
life.
tomorrow, come
Yeah.
tonight?
Mhm.
No, because you're living with
It's
a
not
grim
worth
reaper over your
it.
shoulder. You're literally
Facts.
feeling its breath on your ear.
Mhm.
That's the
And
worst
it's
way
not
to
worth
live.
it living like that.
You
Live in the
should
moment.
look at death like this. I'll see you when I have to see you, but for now,
Fairs.
let me do what I have to do. And every day is that famous quote, carpe diem, seize the day. When you seize if you seize the day, that's you throwing a punch at death. Because today is I woke up, I made everything I could out of it. So this is one step closer to
Just like making something of myself.
Yeah.
Being somebody, basically. Wow. Riyadh.
Eden.
You said my name back to me. People don't usually do that. Guys, the truth is, I'm not even going to ask you if you enjoyed the conversation you have to have, because we went everywhere. Like, you literally can't complain.
Get your passports ready, man.
You're very, very intelligent.
Thank you.
I feel like I have to address that point. You're very well read and you're very inspirational because of that. I'm genuinely going to pick up a book because of you and keep making your content. Keep creating the stuff that you're doing. Genuinely, like, literally love it. No, I have to say it, because when it comes to stuff like this on TikTok, people don't really appreciate it well enough. They probably see it and then they scroll past. Do you know what it takes to have to read like how many pages is even in that book? You're already on page 100 and something, and there's like 900 pages, and then do a review and educated like conclusion about what you think, and also have an opinion and not be afraid of the opinion that you have. I think you need to keep doing that and like forget about everything else that people are doing on social media.
I really
it's people like
appreciate
you,
it.
yeah. It's people like you that genuinely I'm literally searching for, and I found you. Well, you found me, but like we found each other. Here we are.
Thank you. I appreciate that.
You will be back. Please drop your social media one more time so that they can follow you.
Oh, the Lyceum of Arts.
Thanks. I'm gonna put it up there. And put it in the description. Make sure you like, share, subscribe, all that stuff. I hate saying that because, like, why am I begging? If you want to do it, do it. You know what I mean? But yeah, we've been here for long enough. I'm gonna edit the video now.